Dick, can you bring up the website insertcredit.com? So I have a buddy. He's a good friend of mine. His name's Tim Rogers. Some of you probably know him on YouTube.
Can someone write an "I love Tim Rogers"?
I do love Tim Rogers.
Like,
do anything you want.
drop.
I don't care. I can't
Tim
not.
Rogers.
I
Tim
can't.
Rogers.
I love this guy. I've loved this guy forever.
Jesus Christ.
He's a very interesting guy. Okay, and he does a podcast, or he did do a podcast with a bunch of guys called the Insert Credit Podcast. This is a podcast I have been
Sounds shitty.
that I've been permanently banned for.
Oh yeah.
For over 200 episodes, and I'm not allowed to go on this podcast.
You were banned from why?
Oh God, I was reliving it today as I was looking up because I'm a member of the alt-right, of course, Dick, because I'm a radical.
I mean, you are.
Yeah, well, a little bit. Anyway, so my buddy Tim, he does this podcast with a couple other guys who hate me in varying stages. Guy Brandon Sheffield, who I don't think anybody knows that guy. Frank Cifaldi is a guy people might know. He's a guy. He's like the Video Game Preservation Society. They're always putting out videos about like, oh, we found this rare version of Tom and Jerry for the NES. It's a triumph for the video game preservation community. And you're like, who wants to play fucking Tom and Jerry on the NES? Who gives a shit? Anyway, so they do a podcast together.
You?
No,
the guy with the kiosk of a PlayStation 2 is who gives a shit about the Tom and Jerry?
I could do a whole problem. I could do a whole problem about the
pinball
video
museum
game
guy?
preservation people who are like,
Okay.
oh my God, we have to save this beta copy of Asteroids. And you're like, why? No one's ever going to play
Can't you just upload it?
Doesn't matter. Well, that's their thing is, yeah, they want like a digital repository of all this shit, but none of it matters. A lot of it's just like
how hard is it to upload it to the internet?
well, that's their thing is like it's games that like appeared in magazines where it's like the California Raisins game coming soon to the NES and then it never came out. And they're like, oh my God, we have to get a complete ROM dump of the Garfield for Sega Genesis that only appeared on the Sega Channel for 1 week in September of 1994.
I don't know. That sounds better than just buying stuff and hoarding it.
I'll put it this way. It's something fun to do. Like, hey, we found this Garfield game that went away. But they talk about it like, oh my God, guys, if we never find a copy of this Garfield game, it's like it'll just be lost to time. You're like, do you know how much shit is lost to time? It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. So it's not going to make the world better because you found some pinball game out of the CES fucking guidebook from 1985.
Garfield's a big Trump guy, I heard.
He is. Him and Mario, they're hanging out.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've been doing this podcast. This is what, episode 361. They've been doing this for like a decade. They've been doing this podcast off and on. They, come back. Actually,
I have more episodes than that.
This was the one where they had to stop, or they had to change it up because their moderator, Alex Jaffe, he's the guy I explained is a Jewish kid who wears a yarmulke all the time. And Brandon Sheffield went,
what?
Brandon Sheffield said, hey, guy who hosts our podcast, who wears a yarmulke all the time and is a devout Jew who goes to temple and, is kind of the ultra Jew. How do you feel about Palestine versus Israel? And he's like, I'm kind of like a fan of Israel.
Okay.
And Brandon said, you're banned from the podcast forever. And he was like,
That's real chutzpah.
He's like, I can't believe he would side against Palestine. I'm like, he wears a yarmulke everywhere. What do you
all of a
mean?
sudden they can't lie? Okay.
He's too honest to lie. He's like
I'm telling the truth for the first time, possibly.
Anyway, that was the
first. Did he get quantum leaped into by Nick Fuentes?
He's too harmless to lie. He's like he's one of these like.
Yeah, that's what they want you to think.
Well, okay.
Oh
now,
yeah.
This is why I'm not allowed on the podcast. By the way, this is the kind of time
we're harmless. We just want to coexist with you.
All right, so this was one of the controversies. Somehow they made up. Alex Jaffe paid penance, and he said Gaza has every right to exist.
They made up with the Jewish guy.
Yeah. Well, he had to. He had to say. I was wrong to say Israel is the right way.
What are we doing?
Who
are these podcasts over here? What's happening?
It's a little bit. Who are these podcasts?
Yeah.
Right now?
What's their problem? What's the problem?
The problem is that Tim had decided to leave the podcast. Okay. Sometimes podcasts end. Right. You've dealt with this.
Yeah, several times.
Several times.
Why are you being so anti-Semitic? People are texting me.
Wait, no, they're not.
A real legit reverend just texted me.
I love the Jewish people. We all know this. So my good friend Tim has decided to leave his podcast. That's it.
And this is a reciprocal friendship, you're saying?
What do you mean? Like me and him?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hung out when he was in LA. We had a great time.
Okay.
Helped him film some videos and whatever else.
Okay.
So this should be he said he wants to focus more on Twitch, whatever else. There's a little argument where they're like, oh, you're leaving the show kind of abruptly. And he's like, yeah, well, I just don't want to do it anymore. So they do an episode right after he leaves. This is episode 361, and this is how they choose to handle Tim leaving the podcast.
We're listening to the whole show?
No, we're just going to listen to the opening of the show.
So before we really get into the show, we need to address something, which is the fact that
Lachlamail
Tim
in the
has
room.
left the show.
This is the voice of Brandon Sheffield, who definitely hates me the most out of these guys.
Frank, you had some stuff you
I'm
wanted
sorry,
to
wait,
say
can you
about-
pause it?
Yeah.
I get it now.
I can hear it in his voice.
No. So this is a vendetta. This is a classic Italian vendetta you have against this guy.
This
And
was...
now he's hurt Tim Rogers in some way, or he's
well,
about to.
This is one of those things where, for the
Sure,
longest
sure.
time, I got buddies and they go, Brandon's not that bad.
I know what it is.
And I go, no, he's a bad guy. And they go, no, he's not that bad. And I go, no, he's definitely a bad guy. But yeah, here we go.
about it.
Yeah. It was earlier this week as we were
This is
recording
Frank
this.
Cifaldi.
Tim really suddenly quit the show for the second time without talking to us about it first, which is fine. He had his reasons, but what's bothering me is that he did this in a really unprofessional way.
Oh, no.
He insulted the popularity of the show, the quality of its guests, and our intelligence. He also said things that I would call verbally abusive toward one of us, which I'm just not okay with. And, the whole thing is really disturbing to me, and I'm just not interested in working with this person or having him on the show again, even as a guest, if he wanted to be. And I kind of wanted to get ahead of that.
God, you fucking...
We talked a couple episodes about how important it was for people like us in a space like this to be authentic as a way of sort of encouraging more good in the world, I guess. And I guess that's why I felt the need to talk about this. I want everyone hearing this
This
to
is
know
important. This
that
is important.
It's not okay to be treated like that.
It's not okay to be treated like this. You
I've
need to know
been
this at
in
home.
Toxic, abusive situations like that in the past in my personal and professional lives. And it wasn't something that I really crawled out of until I talked to someone about it and they were able to validate that it was wrong and weird. And, I'm not really sure what else to say other than if you find yourself on the
worst
receiving
part.
end of something like that and you can, please talk to someone. I also want to ask that you
Please talk to someone about if you've ever found yourself in a abusive situation where a guy who has helped you make thousands of dollars decides to leave your podcast and on the way out maybe says, hey, this show kind of sucks. It's what it sounds like happened. They're saying he insulted the show and the quality of the show and the guests. And it's like, yeah, you guys, the show kind of sucks sometimes. What do you want? And they're saying this is an abusive individual who has delivered abuse onto them. If you are dealing with abuse, you should reach out and get help.
Was that a trans lady?
No, that is Frank
That guy?
Cifaldi is a soft-spoken individual. Look, Frank does good video game work.
That's a generous way to put it.
I want to like Frank, but shit like this is the reason. Look, I used to hang out.
Hello, members of Congress. I think we
Yeah.
should be allowed to say the F slur again. Exhibit A. Click.
Here's the thing about nerds: is like they're interesting guys who do interesting stuff.
Those are not nerds. They don't know jack shit, but how to take more cocks up their ass. Those are fucking losers. Nerds actually know shit. Build you a bridge, put something into space.
Well, I will
Talk
say
like
Tim
an
was the best
F-slur?
part of that show by
Wrong.
far. Tim,
Not a nerd.
Tim made that podcast listenable.
Appropriating culture is what those guys are doing.
My problem, Dick,
games. Oh, yeah, video games.
Well,
Me too.
that show is now about to turn into two guys talking in whispers about the turbo graphics, which is going to be insufferable. I don't know who's
My
going to...
turbo graphics
when
are
I
clue
first
all
got-
over it. I've got a raging 16-bit overclocked turbo
When my mom
processor
first got
over
me
here.
the Turbo Graphics and a dress to wear for playtime, I knew that I was
My
in a
mom
safe
called me a
space.
filthy little beast every time when I would pull the controller out of the Turbo Graphics and the little silver thing would stay in the Turbo Graphics. And I'd have to pull it out and stick it back in the controller. She'd say, "You filthy little beast! You pulled on it too hard again."
You're listening to the Insert Credit Podcast. It is like.
I remember my first encounter with abuse. I was reading Wikipedia on my phone. I was editing Wikipedia on my phone, and
well,
the
this
gentleman
is
behind me
this has
abusively
been.
honked on his horn.
Yeah, this
I
is
missed
a
a green
problem
light.
I'm calling abusing abuse. It's the idea
very
that
clever.
one of the biggest.
Yes.
For
I
some
didn't give you
reason,
consent to be that clever.
at some point, I've learned that, like, and I used to be a liberal, and I know how to play this game. It's like at certain points, they find little magic words they can use, right?
Yes.
Little magic words that are, they always talk about dog whistles, right? Like, little
Yeah.
words that have like secret powers or whatever, Like if you say 88, you're saying some Nazi
1488.
stuff, right? Yeah, 1488. Well, now just 88 they're mad about.
They're mad at 88?
They're mad
like
at 88.
Back to the Future?
Yes, exactly. It's very bizarre. One of their magic words that they've found.
You feel like you've avenged your friend enough now, or you want to make fun of those guys more?
I mean, if I wanted to make fun of those guys, it would take a whole show.
We got to do. Has
They did
Carl
me
heard
dirty.
about these guys?
They did me dirty. I, at one point, wanted to send this to Carl and be like, hey, you got to check out the Insert Credit Podcast. But that was when Tim was still on it. I'm like, no, as long as Tim's on a thing, I won't touch it. But now Tim's gone. So if anybody wants to check out, again, a bunch of soft-spoken San Francisco boys talking about
Ask
how
the guests if they record with dildos up their ass in the studio.
do whatever you
Or
want.
if they take
at
them
this
out
point.
before they start recording.
All I can say is that this is, again, when I
These
lived...
guys bought one of those skibbity toilets at Walmart and they sit on it. and
Sure,
get it to
they have the
pop
skibbity
out.
toilet up their butt.
So it'll pop up.
I understood.
They play
where
a
you're
game
going.
where they talk until they get so you can get closest above a certain volume.
When I lived in the Bay Area, okay, I encountered a lot of these guys,
Oh, you don't say.
and a lot of them went crazy.
Castro Street was named after
You guys
them.
made
Did you
them
know that?
crazy with Trump, though. Trump really made a lot of these guys go absolutely nuts.
They don't even know what's coming.
I think these guys will. I don't know what will happen if Trump gets elected for some of these guys, but I will say that again.
Acting gay, crime. It will be illegal to be gay.
Okay, well now
But
we
this,
are an alt-right
crime.
podcast. Stop with this. It is not illegal to be gay, and we love the gays. Jesus Christ.
I'm not saying they're gay. Gays are fine. But if you talk like this and someone's like, "Are you gay?" and you go, "No," straight to prison.
You have to be gay to talk like this?
Yeah.
Okay, that might have.
or
That
else
might
you're
be
doing gay
validity there.
face. You're doing gay
Sure.
blackface.
All I'm saying is that when these guys want to when leftists want to remove someone from their circle or whatever,
Yeah.
they find little like coded terms to hit them
It's
with.
abusive.
And abusive is, I've seen a couple different guys follow this, where like it'll either be like an old lover or something, or again just a group. This like
A
that-
woman?
Yeah, okay, yeah. It used to be like, oh my god, well, what did he do? It was just a toxic, abusive relationship. It's like, oh my god, did he rape you? Did he hit you? No, but like one time, remember that lady who tried to bury Aziz Ansari because she went on a date with him, and she's like, he poured me a glass of red without asking if I wanted red or white. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Is this what you people think abuse is? Okay? Tim
that was
gets in the
insane.
chat and he goes, hey, I'm quitting the podcast because this show sucks.
yeah,
and I go,
well,
just if
that's
you have
the
an
kind of
abusive
abusive
person like that in
behavior.
your life,
Today's episode is
no,
brought
you
to you
can
by
call
therapy.
someone. Self-help
you-
is available for you.
Make sure you talk to a woman today.
I do feel validated because every time I have talked to any of these guys and they go, yeah, I'll be seeing Brandon and the guys in the Bay Area. I go, oh, those guys
What's
are
that
scumbags.
big bear you bring around?
And they're
he
like,
never fucks any of us. He's such a cock tease. I
Do you
just
remember?
want him
Do
to
you
tell
remember
me
when,
about
do you remember when
Star Wars
Coffin
and
was on the
fuck
show
me?
and I started talking about a guy he was going to go see, and he went, "Oh no, don't talk
That
about
pizza guy?
Yeah, the pizza guy." And remember, he was
Yeah.
going, "Oh, don't talk about him. He's still my friend or whatever." I was talking about this fucking guy,
Wow.
and I was like,
When he makes him pizzas, he makes them in a hot dog shape. And he really gobbles them up. Where'd all the sausage go? The pizzas are done. Where'd all the sausages go? Ooh, insert credit, insert cock. That's what those guys are.
"Look, Insert
But
Credit."
they're straight.
Insert Credit was a very cool website. It was a very cool forum. I used to have articles published on here before I was banned forever.
What articles did you have published on
About
there?
video game stuff, talking about going to E3 and whatever else. You can find some of my old articles up on there. you know, it used to be this cool punk rock thing. And again, Tim Rogers was one of the guys who helped make, you know, video games cool and whatever else.
Yeah.
And then it slowly has devolved into a bunch of guys whining about the abuse they've suffered from a guy quitting their podcast.
Therapy isn't going to help you, man. If you're crying about getting yelled at by a man.
How I don't think people were this soft. I think in a previous period in time, before Trump, when I knew these guys, I can't imagine them getting on a podcast and going, I've just suffered horrible abuse at the hands of Tim Rogers, who weighs like 110 pounds, soaking wet, and is like in a fucking horn-rimmed glasses.
You can't really abuse a man.
Games.
Like
Tim Rogers couldn't abuse a cat. He can. All right, that's my lane.
What?
But he's Tim can say like biting, sarcastic shit, but it's Tim. Get over it. It's like a bunch of guys who we've gotten into the area of like, you know how
just pretend it's a big dick.
Okay,
get over it.
Us talking shit back
and then keep going, right? Because they're gonna fuck themselves up the ass.
See, now I'm worried is like, okay, so we're in a space where like we can talk shit to each other because it's funny and we're busting balls.
Us?
Yeah.
We are not in that. You have proven recently that we
are
not
absolutely
in that space.
busting balls, 100%.
You are closer to these guys than you are to me.
No. We bust balls, 100%.
You know when people say, "Oh, we're as far as 1985 as 1985 was away from 1955 in Back to the Future."
Yeah,
that you are like 1985.
There's so much ball busting that goes on this show and in the comments and related to this show. Okay. All right. At no point has it ever been, oh my God, it's abuse. Oh my God.
The subject of boundaries got brought up.
I think I have a very reasonable boundary, and we discussed it.
Yeah, no, we did not discuss it off the air.
Oh yeah, we don't discuss things off the air.
That's the kind of thing they talk about in therapy.
I think I'm totally okay with flinging shit. There's a lot of shit flinging that goes on. Okay.
Okay.
I have never said, "Oh my God, the abuse is just."
I'm being abused.
I'm being abused.
What's Tim Rogers gonna do? Is he going to be okay?
He's going to stream on Twitch, and now these two guys have said, he'll never be allowed back on as a guest. He's basically being erased from. This is the other thing the left does: is they erase a guy from history.
Annie, I don't want to see him ever again as a guest on
There's
the show.
like, they do this thing, you know what they're thinking? Because they did this to me, which was erasing me from like the site and erasing any posts I'd ever made. Oh. And it used to be at the end of every episode, there was like a little stupid sting I made. And I think they even went into old episodes and deleted the stupid little musical sting from old episodes.
Have you not brought this up
and
before?
now, because I didn't want to fight with these guys, because I'm like, you know what?
Well, I hope you want to be fighting with them now.
Well, I'll fight with them now because they fucked over Tim. All right? Because I was like, look, I'm loyal to Tim. As long as Tim's doing the show with these guys, I'm not going to cause trouble. Okay? Yeah. But now they're talking about Tim has like a little fucking musical sting. It's just him like jamming on his guitar, and they're going, "Oh, we have to take that out of the show."
That's
and,
abusive. It's reminding me of when
I was told in confidence that at one
raped.
point they were recording an episode, and Tim went, "Well, one time I was playing Minecraft with my buddy Vito." And Brandon stopped the podcast and went, "Oh, excuse me, editor, can you stop right there? Can we back it up 20 seconds? We can't mention him on this show. He's a known alt-right personality, so we need to delete that."
And I'm gonna need the bigger butt plug. This one's no longer.
Dude,
doing
it's nutty. But again, these are the kind of guys who I just.
How do they talk? Let's see.
What if the bad guy was actually your friend or whatever? I don't know. It's he's always trying to subvert it in ways that are
it's like if Zoe Deschanel was a man.
I have not experienced his other work, but let me throw out a game suggestion here.
Okay.
Deadly Premonition.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like there's.
okay.
WATP, you may enjoy
Blood.
this
Blood
podcast.
the Blood Sprinkler Club. Yeah.
And
Okay. Wow.
It's a bunch of guys who are going to tell you why the FM Town
millions of
Smarty
people
is the
who
best
don't
video game
otherwise vote
console
have
ever.
been
You know?
mobilized. If you want to participate in that, check out environmentalvoterproject.org.
Hey, they got fucking hoodwinked too.
That's Alex Jaffe. That's the Jewish guy who won't talk to me anymore.
You say Jewish every time you say his name.
If you looked at this guy, you would know why.
I'm sure I wouldn't.
He's you'll see if no, the one
This
on the
guy?
right there, yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed.
You gotta. He does.
He's wearing a yarmulke under his hat. You're saying?
Is that still him? he's usually. I mean, he might have finally because he moved to New York to work for DC Comics. He's also the reason I'll never get a job at DC Comics. I'm sure.
That and that you
Can't make a
2
comic.
years. Yeah,
Well,
probably that.
because I was, me and him were gonna make a Booster Gold comic, and now he won't talk to me anymore. Because I said, what do you call it? I think he got mad at me because I said the guy who made Rick and Morty is not a rapist.
Okay.
And it's like, well, but his wife said that his girlfriend said he hit him. I'm like, yeah, women lie a lot.
Yeah.
They'll definitely
who cares, though?
exaggerate
Even
shit.
if it's true, who cares?
And even if it happened, it doesn't matter. What, they got in a fight?
Just want Rick and Morty.
Popped her once? Yeah, just one more Rick and Morty made by guys.
Well,
Anyway, it's been interesting watching this this former circle. There's a picture of all of us together. I got to find that picture. The better times before everybody went nuts because of Trump and started claiming to be victims of abuse.
They were nuts the whole time already, my friend.
You know.
Trump just showed us the way.
They've gotten way nuttier. And remember, guys, now that Tim Rogers is no longer on the Insert Credit Podcast, find him on twitch.tv/actionbutton and subscribe to Action Button on YouTube. He is literally...
Does he ever plug your stuff?
I don't know. No.
Did he plug Super Killer?
No.
Wow.
Look, Tim is currently making content for... it's a different world we live in, you know?
Me and you? Yeah.
Yeah, me and you. We just did a show talking about kids getting raped by panda bears, okay? We're not making sensitive video game content for tender queers.
Not even plugging
or
your
whatever the
comic
fuck.
though.
That's all right. He's gotten me jobs in the past. He's done a lot for me.
Okay.
It is I, the Nigger, and I need you to subscribe to, it says here, Clips